going on, y'all? Welcome back to the Fade to Black podcast hosted by OMG Studios Philly. This podcast is in preparation for the Fade to Black It's a Black Philly Film Fest 2022. Tickets can be found on omgstudiosphilly.com. It is pay what you can, and the event is happening February 28th. Today, we are watching Lemon, directed by Janicza Bravo.
They love your look. Your audition, rock solid.
I got a job.
Tomorrow I'm going to New York for 10 days.
What's in New York?
It's better you stay.
I don't usually do this kind of work.
Gloom. Gloomy? More gloom?
My sister has a black son. He's 6.
That's wonderful.
Welcome, everybody, to the Fade to Black podcast hosted by OMG Studios Philly in preparations for Fade to Black It's a Black Philly Film Festival. The thing about today is, like, I'm really interested in the opinions of our team from OMG here. We got, of course, Suni, B. Rose. We got Imani Johnson, and we have Dominique Barlow. And we have myself, David Dunnington. You already know who we are. Artists, filmmakers, black people, all of that. Today, we watched a 2017 film called Lemon, directed by Janicza Bravo. First of all, someone tell me what it's about.
You have a guy who is an acting teacher, coach, who is jealous of his student, Michael Cera, who's not Michael Cera, but played by Michael Cera. And they just, they're very, pretentious, because dude is just, trying to upstage him because he's jealous. He's, an actor, model for pharmaceutical companies, so it's not really as exciting as the things that Michael Cera is doing.
Specifically, we should make clear he's modeled for hepatitis C and adult diapers.
Just unappealing things. And he's married to this blind woman who travels a lot for her job, and they break up, and he is back into the dating scene world. Dates Mia, tries to date Nia Long. It's kind of awkward, kind of cringe. Doesn't really work out because he tries to run away with her grandma. But, a time. It's interesting.
All right, that's a pretty good analysis of the... Or just kind of like a summary of the film. Any details stick out to you, Suni?
In just the synopsis? Just to add, it does feel very slice of life. It's not necessarily a climactic adventure. I don't even think it's necessarily a hero's journey, so much as it feels like a tragedy. I'm this feels like a man who's got a lot of trauma, and he's just working through life, and it's not looking good for him or the people who he surrounds himself with.
Very cringe.
Super cringe.
Dominique, what was your takeaway from this, just in general?
Kind of following this man going through somewhat of a midlife crisis. You're not where you want to be in life. You're doing these dead-end jobs. You meet, in my take of it, I feel like he met 3 versions of himself throughout the film, with Michael Cera, the older person, saying, my ex-wife left me and is thriving now. And then his brother, who just kind of looks at him like, what the fuck are you doing with your life right now? In long story short, I feel like we're following a man who thinks his life is a lemon. It's just not going to get any better. You're at the end of it, and, we didn't get that ending of, the hero's journey, as y'all said, but that's what the lemon is. You're in this pickle, and you got to find your way out. It doesn't always end as easy as, you think it does. But great film.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I think it's worth pointing out. I picked this film specifically because it's directed by Janicza Bravo. Please, God, tell me I pronounced that right. And most of the cast, minus Nia Long and her family and some of the side characters, are white. And I feel like it's worth noting and talking about just with, and Steve McQueen's done this before too, obviously, but like having a black director direct mostly a white cast, and what that could and doesn't have to mean. But with this, like, it's so bizarre and weird that I feel like there's no way there isn't some sort of like, this is definitely how she feels about certain white people in LA and being in all those scenes. And Janicza Bravo actually came up in the theater scene, so that's how she knew Jeremy O'Harris, because she made that with she made Zola with him. So she's run into all those types of freaks or whatever. And yeah, and the thing is like, specifically with like casting Nia Long, they wanted to get like I was listening to an interview. They wanted to get a well-known black actress just because, and they reached out to Nia Long, and the director was like, "Hey, does she know I'm black?" Because they weren't hearing back from her, and they were like, "Well, no, but does that matter?" And she was like, "Yeah, it fucking does." Like, she needs to know that I'm a black woman, that like this weird story isn't just some weird guy's story. This is the story that I'm directing. And then Nia came back, and like, because that meant something, and like, so I just think with all those details in mind, it's a fun film to look at, especially because I saw Zola first, and like I was a huge fan of Zola, and just kind of like seeing some of that style be present in the first film. Any thoughts with like the world that was created, with the cast, and like with honestly, like they got a pretty well-known actors too for the most part, which was surprising. Analysis from that.
I think it is interesting, like her having to go out of her way to be like, let Nia Long know that I'm a black woman, because getting that script and not knowing it's being directed by a black woman, a black woman would not want to be that role. But there were those like little nuances that you could see in the direction, where it's like, oh yeah, I can see like a black person directed this. Like at one point, like the director at one of those commercials was talking to her about changing the dude's outfit or whatever, and you kind of just see her like push her out the way, like she's done talking to her, and it's just like go in the way that like old white ladies do, are like, there's that same moment where they're like talking, you can see Nia Long like in one mirror by herself, and like all the white people are in a mirror like together. They were just like very intentional decisions like that, which did totally like transform the character of Nia Long. Cleopatra was her name.
Yeah, to add to that, I think I'll say I even did like a double take a couple times when I'm like, am I sure this is the right movie that I'm supposed to be watching? And like 20 minutes in, I'm like, so I saw a glimpse of black people somewhere in the images. Like, when are they coming? But something to be said about like black folks directing like a majority white story. I feel like we say we can do it because we've been studying white people our whole lives. Like, that's part of like the double consciousness of black people, is to understand like who you are as a person, how you fit into your own culture, but then how you fit into the white society and white culture, and how to assimilate into it. So it's like, I don't know, like it does feel like an interesting study in that sense of like, I feel like I understand specific people, and something that I thought about while watching this felt like it wasn't necessarily like a white family story, but this specific white man's story and his family that comes along with it. And so I think that felt like the thing that elevated this film for me, was how specific it was and how nuanced it was. And even thinking about, like, as he gets introduced to Nia's family, and we spend so much time just like looking at every single face and like giving it a name too, because I feel like that's just kind of how people look at us essentially. And as he was like trying to like take in all the information and be so like attentive to that detail, and also I don't know, that whole like barbecue scene felt like an introduction to Black people for white people, but from the lens of a Black person trying to do it with care. And it almost felt like that's kind of the approach to the white family as well, is like understanding this white family through this white man's eyes, but also from a Black perspective. Yeah.
Yeah, no, oh, yeah, the only thing I was gonna add is just like, you could just tell that a Black person did have a hand in this, just the subtle things that do point out Black people without overdoing it. Just really nice. You know, questions to the little Black boy. The maid was also like throwing out some jabs here and there, which was also kind of satirical in a sense, because she was kind of like the magical maid that's like, oh, here's this story about how my grandma got rid of her husband or something. Like, oh, you know, she did this to him and he never talked back to her, because that's usually the role that they get put in to do. And yeah, and also she was taking care of the little Black boy, and you know, whenever they were all in there singing together, it was just her and the Black boy together. And there are just little things that, like, I'm sure that if it was just an all white movie, nobody would be there and be like, hey, we should do this instead. Like, there are some very subtle things, and like what Suni was saying, the introductions is very like, yeah, you bring somebody to your cookout, it's like, oh yeah, this is Uncle June, this is like Beep Bop over here, this is like Uncle Freddie, cousin whatever. You know, it was very nice, and wasn't overdone. It was just done very delicately, and yeah.
Yeah, you're right. You didn't have a lot to say. You just said something great there.
I was like, no, because I was like, y'all covered everything that I was going to say, and I may have pulled out like 2 extra things, but yeah.
So yeah, it's worth pointing out, I think, with also just looking at some interviews with this, Brett Gilman, if I'm not pronouncing his name, it's right, it's fine, he's white. He was saying that, like, you know, so both of them were saying this film is about failure, and just like, obviously, like the phrase lemon, you're right, Dominique, in that, like, his life is a lemon, and even to the extent where, like, his car's breaking down at just the end of the movie, just like his car is a lemon, because that's, I guess, what it's mostly used for, a car back in the day. Yeah. I don't know, I'm not a fucking boomer. But
I will say it didn't click into place until the car was getting towed as the credits ended, and I was like, oh, it's a lemon.
The car's a lemon.
And I was like, he's a lemon. Yeah. But he makes a point of that, like, you know, with him being white, like, I mean, they are kind of a well-off-ish family if they're able to live in Los Angeles. And they make, the fact that it opens with, like, this film was recorded completely and on location in Los Angeles, like, them talking shit or whatever. But he makes a point to say, like, you know, yeah, my character, like, the only reason he can kind of get away with all these things is because he's a white guy. And that's the reason why he's able to fail this much. And so to hear him blatantly say that, like, and to know that was their intention the whole time is interesting. And yeah, I'm just kind of surprised we've gone 16 minutes without mentioning that he spray paints the word white nigger on Michael Cera's car.
Yes.
Which I will say is what made me want to watch the movie, because I saw someone talking about it online, and they were like, yeah, so he sprays the N-word on somebody's car, and I was like, damn. And they were saying, yeah, the film's directed by a Black woman, and I was like, whoa, I gotta look up this movie. Because if she made that happen, then I need to know what the fuck she had to say. And yeah, I did. It's just nice to know that all that was intentional.
Like, even in the when they're in the kitchen, like telling a story to Cleo, that was a very organic retelling of his story. That wasn't like even like a black comedy type of thing. It was like, no, this is legit how it happens in my house. Like 3 people can tell the same story, and you just got to be like, what? Oh shit, no, that's nah. They're like, yeah, then guess what happened next? And the next person goes in, and the next person goes in. And that's just very like, that is very black, but it was something, once again, just very genuine. The whole introduction to her family is very genuine, and I didn't really notice it, but while watching it, I was like, has he dated a black woman before? Or like, is this a situation that's from life? Just because like, both sides of this were very genuine. And so when you told me that they were married, I was like, this makes a lot more sense, because it was just the way they met. I'm like, why are you giving this man a chance after chance after chance? Like, tell him to get away. But also, if you recall earlier in the movie, he was like, you know, I could just beat you up. I could kill you. And like, that's what happens a lot whenever people get
yeah, we should also mention he's
and so it's just like, yeah,
psychopath.
She's not doing this as like a, oh, I like this weird white man. It's like, no, you are acting very strange, and I don't think I can just be like, nah, you can't come here because you might stalk me, which, yeah.
You might do some wild shit like steal my grandma.
Yeah, you know.
So yeah, the man's very unhinged. The film is bizarre, in the best way. How do you guys feel about the way people talk in the movie? Just the cadence.
Oh, they say a lot to say very little at times. It felt kind of Shakespearean, because I'm like, y'all are just saying a lot of words to say something very simple. But it was like the conversation was almost like a dance, because they were like right on top of each other. So it was almost like a very choreographed, complicated, complex dance, but also was still very simple.
I felt like I was picking up on how much he just wanted to drive conversation, and how polite everybody was trying to be around him. So it's like every intrusive thought that like pops up, he's just spewing it out, and then most people are just trying to be polite, and it felt like there's just like always this tense distance between them and him, and like he's just really trying to like get over it. Like I don't know, I think about like that first date with Nia Long, and she's like, I think we should go, and he's like, how's your son? Okay, sir, we're not going to continue this conversation.
My sister has a black son.
Yeah, but it's just like everybody's polite, glazed over smile. That's just like, oh, I see something's going on. But that's cool. For as long as it can be.
Yeah, it has like a very like, it does have this. I hate saying this, but it has this Wes Anderson-ness to it, to like the style and the rhythm, and the same. And someone called Wes Anderson movies a white exploitation movies, and I feel like this could count as one, like intentionally. And yeah, and I don't think like it doesn't. And when I know I keep like harking on like that aspect of it, but I say that in a way that like she doesn't just make like white minstrels or anything. Like they do feel like genuine people, and like you do sympathize with this crazy guy a little bit, even though he keeps doing fucked up shit. And like you sympathize with like his sister that's kind of like even neglecting her black son, but like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It's just it's all genuine. Yeah. I think I'm making a point there.
It was interesting watching this and like knowing that she also did Zola, and like knowing that this came before, like what you said with the Wes Anderson thing. Like I was watching, I was like, yeah, I do feel that, and I've only seen 2 of her films, so like I don't have much say so on what you do, but it does feel like Zola is like more in her groove, and like makes me excited to see what will be next for her, because like Zola has less Wes Anderson, and like, you know, it's just just, you know, I don't know.
I think at the time like she had only made a bunch of shorts because she again came up in the theater world, and Nia Long's like Nia Long's a stylist because she was a stylist working at the time. Jessica Bravo, I mean. She had a bunch of shorts, and this was kind of just her way of like validating that she could make a feature. So I think like this was definitely just like a stepping stone, and the big names helped. So like, I'm glad this helped Zola exist.
Yes.
Yeah. I didn't even have to get water. I guess one more thing is just like the editing. I'm a huge fan of fun editing, and they just cut at good times. The dialogue is awkward at good times. Like the part where she's cutting the potatoes, and the mom's like half, like almost dying. And I'm just something I was pointing out with that. Any final thoughts with this film, y'all?
Yes, to the editing. I thought it was really interesting to see how much they cut off like Homegirl from
Oh my God,
editing.
yes.
Yeah, it's just like very much like we don't listen to women in this space. And very reflective of his perspective. A lot of the shots and editing and sound also felt very in tune with what his perspective would be, and so I feel like it served the storytelling really well. I feel like I love the shots. I'm always like a very visual person, so I'm just like, it looked beautiful. Great.
I totally forgot about that I totally forgot about Jillian Jacobs. Is that
Yeah.
it? Jillian Jacobs? Yeah. I totally forgot about that whole arc, but that was great how like the play was like mirroring his actual life in such a way where and they kept cutting her off, and I was just it was great. My final thoughts are, I don't know, the longer I do sit with it, the more I'm like, damn, maybe I should go watch it again. Like,
No, you want to watch it again and I want to watch it again so bad.
Yeah, I'm like, the more that I sit with it and I'm picking up on things, I'm like, man, no, that was like, I see, I enjoyed it, but y'all should go check it out.
Same thing. I loved the music, like the underscoring, that like oboe woodwind section that followed him around, like Curb Your Enthusiasm. I just liked hearing that oboe in the back, and like when he would be talking to people, how it would like pick up. But yeah, I love that this was a majority white film directed by a black woman, because all those little like nuances and twinkles really stand out and really feel good. So shout out, like highly recommend this movie. Definitely check it out. Watch it with Zola,
Yeah, it'd be an interesting double feature for sure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, that was, the Fade to Black podcast hosted by OMG Studios Philly in preparations for Fade to Black. It's a Black Philly Film Festival 2022. I am David Dunnington. We were with Imani Johnson, Suni B. Rose, Dominique Barlow. Guys, do you have anything to plug besides, of course, the Fade to Black Film Festival, the 28th at Christ Church?
Still go see all of those paintings hanging up over at PTC on Broad Street till March 14th. Also, past Fade to Black, we got a reading coming up for our writer's room. It's a TV guide play festival workshop reading. And that'll happen on April 1st, but we start rehearsals like in the next 2 weeks. So that's coming up.
Yeah. Definitely check that out. Also, always check out Home with the Homies. Check out OMG. I mean, Sheesh is coming. Just be on the lookout.
Sheesh. Dominic, anything?
Shout out to my people.
Heard. Word
Also,
up.
I feel like Dominique got a new Instagram and Twitter, and so I just need that to be publicly known so people tag and find you at the right spot.
Throw it out there. Throw it out there.
No. They don't need that Twitter. You can follow me on Instagram.
Right.
Planet Dominique. DOMINIQUE.
But it's not.
That
It's
is
not the
Planet
same
Dominique.
on Twitter. Say it. Sorry. Say it again.
Nope.
Say it again.
Planet Dominique. That is
On
my
Instagram.
Instagram handle. PLANET DOMINIQUE. Do not look me up on Twitter. I will ruin everything that you ever thought about me. All right, or maybe not. You may love me even more if you're nasty.
Ooh, Lord have mercy. All right. Well, that is it. Please come to Fade to Black. Go to omgstudiosphilly.com. Correct.
/
to get
fade
tickets.
-2 black.
There's a link. You gotta get your tickets. They're pay what you can. It's gonna be a fun. It's just get your ass over here. God damn it, get your ass over here before I'm. If that triggered you, you should bring your ass over. Good night.
Get up, man! Get up, man! Get up!
I heard screaming. I'm having a heart attack.
I can't